What is commonly said about Venus? That Venus is a planet of creativity, beauty and art, the sense of taste, enjoyment of life, marriage, love, relationships and money. Venus is not well understood. I remind you that the personal planets denote the main functions of the psyche, my psychological characteristics, how I perceive different spheres of life. They are not interpreted separately from the sun and the moon. They are tools for self-realization, for work on oneself. The first meaning or function of Venus is partnership relationships. How do I build relationships, my blockages, my complexes, my models of unions and alliances? Venus is far from romantic themes, from feelings. It is about exchange, mutual benefit, and friendship. We talk about all kinds of exchanges, and they exist in many forms. For example, I consider that the time of the institution of marriage has remained in the past, and that it is not important today to get married officially, or that marriage, on the contrary, is the ultimate objective of any member of society. Venus is not love in the true sense of the word. Why do we give and accept gifts and flowers? To please the partner, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Making an impression on others, making someone feel comfortable being in your company, making yourself beloved is the archetype of Venus. We expect a certain exchange and reciprocal actions. The second meaning is material values. How do I manage money? What does money mean to me? Financial models, blockages in the sphere of money. How I manage my money, my motivation to earn money. Venus does not equate the source of income, but my attitude towards income and how I spend the money earned. Venus is mercantile. In other words, driven by profit, material, down to earth, practical. It is the ruler of Taurus, being far from platonic love and subtle ideas. In mythology, she was far from the political affairs of Olympus. She used those who she needed. In her lower hypostasis, Venus uses the resources of others. Clothing style, my material and physical appearance, which includes the preferred style of clothing. The image I want to project externally, the appearance I want to have, these are the results of my choices or my preferences. However, it is not guaranteed that this or that style, this or that color will suit me. This is what the contradiction between the ascendant, the first house, and Venus consists of. I like the classic style of clothes, Venus in Capricorn or in conjunction with Saturn, but it doesn't really suit me, ascendant in Aries or Mars in the first house. We must find a compromise. I definitely want to put pressure on the partner with Venus in Scorpio, Venus in Aries in opposition to Neptune. I want to be the boss in the relationship, but this ultimately turns into a position of a victim. When it comes to the subject of marriage, Venus does not denote family or the actual partner. In the masculine chart, Venus represents the ideal image of the woman, which type of woman he likes. But that doesn't mean that he's going to marry this type of woman. It may happen that he will marry the opposite type of woman. My attitude towards marriage, how I see marital relations. Afflicted Venus? I deny the subject of marriage. This format of relationship does not interest me. I may hate marriage and say that I will never get married in my life, but as soon as the seventh house gets activated in predictive techniques, to a general surprise, I get married. This will be the event level of the chart reflecting real life, the scenario of destiny. We need to determine to what extent the person is truly partnership-oriented. Perhaps she doesn't need to have a classic family at all. According to her birth chart, whether on a psychological or event-related level, it would suit her better to have free relationships. For example, a family, in the classic sense of the term, will end up destroying her. Venus may not be very pronounced, may not be very strong in the charts of painters and creative people. They may create paintings that are too abstract or not accepted by society. Venus will be responsible for a concrete technique of drawing, for beautiful design. Venus does not cover the subject of what is in the depth of the artwork, of what its message is. This is under the governance of the slow planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and of course of the luminaries, the Sun and the Moon, of my Supreme Self. Venus will be pronounced in the charts of sculptors because we need to be able to feel shape to be a sculptor in the chart. It is far from subtle matters, showing how practical I am, whether I can convert an idea into a concrete result. The theme of Venus is that of design, landscape design, photography, sculpture, video reports, what we call today video blogging, when we create beautiful videos. The supreme meanings, the higher senses in a painting, are the theme of the luminaries and the slow planets. If the luminaries are not engaged in creativity, you will not see the essence, the deep image of an art object. Venus, in this case, will symbolize something different. With the Sun or the Moon in Capricorn, or the dispositor of the Sun, or the Moon in Capricorn, you will have a lot of Saturnian energy, which does not really imply the perception of subtle matters. Where will you then draw the inspiration from? To be authentically creative, you must have the ability to visualize the image and to have anticipatory, imaginary, associative thinking. I can create the design of labels for a box or business cards having an aspect of Venus or Sun, yet these will be creations at the level of daily life. It is good to have Venus aspected by Saturn or by a slow planet in the chart of a makeup artist. The main condition is that the Sun or the Moon is linked to the theme of Venus, being, for example, in Taurus or Libra, or in aspects with the slow planets. Venus, afflicted by the trans-Saturnian planets, gives obsession with plastic surgery. I constantly want to change my appearance. Globally speaking, an afflicted Venus gives dissatisfaction with one's physical appearance, yet the affliction by personal planets does not manifest at the level of complexes. Venus opposition Moon. The discontent with my appearance causes embarrassment. I do not dare to wear clothes that reveal my curves. Venus in opposition or square with Jupiter or Saturn. Here we have social themes. I don't feel comfortable not following fashion trends. Dissonant aspects of Venus, conjunction, square or opposition with the slow planets. Give interest or obsession with plastic surgery. Venus opposes the Sun and Mars according to the poles, the essences, the rulerships. Venus is the ruler of Libra, Mars is the ruler of Aries, and the Sun is in exaltation in Aries. Therefore, the signs of Libra and Aries oppose. It's a double-edged sword. One pole cannot exist without the other, just as they cannot exist together. Remember the tales about princesses, about a young woman imprisoned in a tower in a castle, and that a knight must free and save her. Mars and Venus, in their deep archetypes, depict these two notions. Mars is action, the energy I use when I do something. Venus, in its turn, personifies the result. Mars is the warrior who rushes to free the princess who is languishing in a castle. Venus equals the result, the reason that pushes Mars to act. The astrological symbol of Venus is the ring of the spirit, rising above the cross of matter. Only man develops the quality which is symbolized by Venus. It is inherent to man and cannot be achieved by animals under any conditions and any circumstances. It is the ability to exist gracefully in the world, to perceive the beauty of the world, to feel it, and to love the world and human beings. And Venus, for its part, tells us whether the individual who has come into the world is harmonious and knows how to live beautifully and to love, or whether he is at the beginning of learning beauty, communication, harmony. Venus does not determine how much love we will have in this incarnation. Rather, it determines the circumstances in which an individual will live, which will force the characteristics mentioned above to evolve in him, as well as certain harmonious inner qualities. Let us ask ourselves the question, does a person deserve love? Do I deserve love? The moon is linked to the animal perception of the world. The moon gives us a vague perception of the world, subconscious and mysterious, which cannot be described in words. Venus is linked to the perception of the world through our soul, to a clear and conscious feeling of the world by man. Love is the highest state of ecstasy, the most intense energetic manifestation of the astral body, and the supreme emotional state. Each person has her own limits of love she can feel and give. There are 3 phases in love. The first one is sexual desire, influenced by the moon, the need to satisfy instincts, made up of the lowest energies and short-lived. At the beginning of his evolution, man only knows the instinctive need for a sexual partner, for biological love. The first level of attraction is the biological primary attraction, which can transform into a feeling of love if the partner has an attractive soul. Follows human love under the influence of Venus, when we appreciate the other person for her exterior and interior beauty, as well as for the beauty of her thoughts, desires, and actions, for her Venusian qualities. This love is lasting, very strong, but still selective. Supreme spiritual love, influenced by Neptune, unites 2 people through the complicity of their ideas. Supreme love is manifested through compassion, acceptance of one's weaknesses, and mercy. Finally, being able to rejoice for the other represents an even more difficult step. The role of Venus in spiritual evolution is to provide the first non-biological feeling of connection with others. True absolute love must include 3 components. There must be absolute harmony on the physical level, on the mental level, and on the level of spiritual complicity. The symbols of Venus: copper, emerald, malachite, pink-green color, rose quartz, turquoise and amethyst go under Jupiter, and all green crystals go under Venus. Tiger's eye and cat's eye are the crystals of the sun. Copper can turn green when oxidized. So it is the most important crystal of Venus. Food, diet. The moon is responsible for what suits me in food, for example, being vegetarian or carnivorous. But food in general, the way it is served, is under the responsibility of Venus. Clothes, money, aesthetics, beauty, objects, everything I can touch, material beauty, a nice dress, a phone case, a dove, a swan, which is the symbol of peace, tranquility, and victory. Unlike Mars, which is the symbol of war, the swan embodies aesthetics, people as partnerships, competitors, which is also the theme of Libra and the 7th house. In terms of health, the kidneys, the neck, the throat, skin, the reproductive system. In classical ancient astrology, the skin was the symbol of Saturn. This is the case, but in the sense of the boundary between the body and the world, it is a philosophical subject. Skin diseases go under Venus. The diseases of appearance such as acne, rash, those that spoil my appearance. The second channel of Venus, Venus Libra, house 7. After the planet Venus comes the sign of Libra, which is diplomatic, harmonious, seeking compromise, partnership-oriented, conflict-free, calm, delicate, gentle, elegant, attractive. Libra is an artificial sign. There is no individuality. There is no my, me, my I want here. Libra makes everything artificial, not aiming for conflict, being gentle, complacent. It's easy to interact with people who have the moon in Libra because they need to communicate, to create a partnership. But at the same time, they will associate with those who love them physically or with whom they could have a profit, according to Venus, emotional or material profit. Mercury in Libra. I share the thought that others want to hear from me. In the lower hypostasis, this makes the thinking too stereotypical or neutral. Mercury in Libra on the upper pole. I think and talk about how to make everyone feel comfortable about the things that could benefit me, I can approach a subject from different angles. Libra, on the lower pole, has a tinge of artificiality. Ascendant or Venus in Libra gives an artificial look in the appearance. For example, very white hair, an ideal cardinal change in hair color, a certain coldness with the outer shine and ideality. A perfect example of the rising sign of Libra is Leonardo DiCaprio. The facial features are too beautiful, too cute for a man. Libra is a social sign. It looks for decency, for its place in society, for association with the beau monde, the elite, for elitism, when everyone smiles at each other, preserves neutrality. The sin of Libra, its lowest hypostasis, is hypocrisy. Venus in a house of the birth chart. Where, in what circumstances, does the chart require satisfaction of the functions of building partnerships, exchanging, reaching an agreement, making choices? Venus in the second house does not mean that you can sit in front of a TV doing nothing and that the money will flow to you by itself. Many rich people don't have Venus in house 2. They don't even have the 2/8 formula. The most important rule is to play your chart correctly, to follow the scenario correctly. There is no rigid scenario about Saturn in the second house promising poverty and Jupiter in the second house ensuring wealth.